Good
Welcome
night.
to the Marcia Week Show.
Good night, and thanks for having me again. Uh, I could not add anything to that piece you just read. It says it's all, and it has been said very well. So I just let it stand for itself and speak for itself. Let it resonate on its own behalf. But I want to say that before I go into my topic tonight, which is should we continue to trust the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, I just like to make a quick comment on the back page of today's Sunday Sun, which says $300 pay. I don't know if you saw it, but really it refers to the promised $300,
Yes.
which the government pay as from the 14th of May.
Mm-hmm.
The government has been describing it as a solidarity allowance.
Mm-hmm.
The nation calls it a pay. I call it an attempted bribe.
Mm-hmm.
I say it's an attempted bribe. You would remember last week I talked about the advantage of incumbency, in which I
Yes.
point out the resources and the things that governments can go to in a by-election or in the election to boost their chance, to improve their image, to smooth out all the rough patches and make the society, the constituency, or whatever better. This time, not normally done in a by-election. For the first time ever, I'm seeing it be an attempt on the whole country. A whole country. You remember I said too that a by-election really is a mini referendum on the whole country, where the
Yes,
whole
sir.
country can cast its eyes and judgment on the constituency as being a microcosm of the whole society. So that if you follow the logic of that principle, if that is so, therefore you can understand why the government would seek to uh, entice, bribe a whole country so that it won't be harsh and venting its feelings on the whole country when it's dealing with St. James North. That is how I see about it, because I think it's the most vulgar, obscene, politically obnoxious and crude attempt at manipulating public opinion I've seen in all my years in Barbados in any election, general or by election. It really, really is something to be abhorred. And I and $300. I think I heard Mr. Strawn said they're moving some $55 million from the corporate sector, or corporate fund, to pay for this. $55 million sounds like a lot of money, but at $300 with today's prices, that is not even a good week's groceries for most people. How can it last? What can be the long term benefit? This is just a short term. You know, in the old days, when they said when the white man, Europeans and the evangelists went into Africa, they trinkets, marbles, and beads and pretty glasses to entice and confuse the heads of the persons who were not accustomed to those kind of items. To me, this is the modern equivalent of that. You dangle a few dollars before a person's head, and voila, you have them enticed and confused. So I'm saying that we can do better than that. And I think it's very regrettable. It's for all those reasons that I thought I can't I know that is not a decision of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, but Electoral and Boundaries Commission is part of a process that will be culminated on the 21st of May. And they asked that question: should we still continue to trust the Electoral and Boundaries Commission with a very, very heavy heart? Thank you very much for showing the role of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Can you read it for me?
Yes, the role of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission is to maintain an accurate register for the national and electoral registration systems, and to ensure the conduct of free, fair, and transparent elections.
Free, fair, and transparent. That's the hook line. And if you go to the other slide, the other slide shows it under the banner of the under the banner of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. So that is their mantra, that is their motto, that is their goal: free, fair, and transparent election. But for the why I'm
And this is
cast
this is the website you're showing,
the
right?
website of the Electoral and Boundaries
Yes,
Commission,
and
right?
I think Dave also has the website. Yes, go
Right.
right
So
ahead.
that's authentic. So prior to this occasion, prior to this set of circumstances, I like most Barbadians, I think, used to take elections in history. Barbados has had a very good and admirable reputation for free, fair, honest, open elections. Of course, you have minor issues, but there was nothing which seemed to have corrupted the core of the system that will cause you to discredit or doubt its authenticity. To the extent then that we have persons very often for over the years been invited to join teams to go abroad and be observers and commentators of elections in Africa, in Europe. I think very recently the new chairman of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Mr. Ramon Allen,
Yes.
he said he went to Trinidad to observe. You don't go, you don't impose yourself. You are invited by some organization to observe the elections. So, and you only do that because if you have a reputation of being fair and honest, that's what we used to have for many years. And the Electoral Boundary Commission has, we have not, or it was used to be called, the in the 1960s we had the chief registering officer. Then in 1971 it became the electoral department, and in 1985 it became the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. So it's had various names and development and became more sophisticated and complex over the years. At first, I think they were just dealing with ID cards and what, so its role has been expanded, etc. And those have been able to maintain. They're the ones who operationalize. They make sure that all the processes are right. What happens in the election there is up to mark, meets the law, etc. And they're to be given, I think, an admirable report for that over the past years. And I think that was partly so because they're often headed by persons of public servants of integrity, respect, and trust. So the stature and image of the institution came from what the person's perception of the head. And those heads used to come and talk to the public. So there's a relationship between the public and the Electoral Boundaries Commission, which no longer exists since 2018.
Yes.
Something you don't even know who are the other members. You barely know who was the chairman, and that kind of thing. And the reason why I'm asking this question is that you recall that around 21, 22, there was a great tumult in the country. There's deservedly so. When 21, 22, when during COVID, when the Electoral and Boundaries Commission published the names of the entire electoral list on the website, right? It contained details of person, date of birth, their addresses, registration, the full works on the website, which made the whole country vulnerable to scam, identity theft, etc. And there was an uproar. We on this program also talked about it. We objected to it. And the then chairman, Mr. Leslie Haynes, who is now Chief Justice of Barbados, came to the public and was adamant that they were duty bound by law to publish it online. It had to be online. And everybody, he insisted to the point where, apart from that, was also the question where he refused to make any special arrangement for persons who were housebound or institutional bound to vote during COVID, to the extent that it was estimated some 5,000 people were disenfranchised in the such election. But he was very adamant that it was duty bound by law to publish those very critical details of personal life online. But then, only a few days ago, the new chairman of the current chairman, Mr. Ramon Allen, assured the public that there will be no electronic publication from the May 21st polling in St. James North. Let me repeat. The new chairman, Mr. Ramon Allen, he assured the public that there will be no electronic publication for May 21st for the polling in St. James, where the list for St. James North would not be passed electronic. And here it is. Now, this is Mr. Ramon Allen. He's a senior counsel, just like Mr. Haynes was, who's no Chief Justice. So one would think they're equally and eminently qualified.
Right.
And here Mr. Allen went up, Mr. Haynes, Mr. Allen goes on, meaning the list was papers on hard copy and has been published and is available for review at the Electoral Boundaries headquarters in Bridgetown, the public library, and reviewing centers at the Gordon Greenwich Primary School. So he's saying it's not online, it's published, it's paper, and you can inspect it at those times, as had been the tradition, as had been the practice up until 21, 22. So I asked the question, if as Mr. Haynes then said, that he was duty bound by law, and this is what Mr. Ali concluded, it will not be put out there online. So persons need not worry about that issue that might have arisen previously, said the chairman. Let me repeat it. It will not be put out there online. So persons need not worry about that issue that might have arisen previously. That's the current chairman. Now tell me, if it had been duty bound, if as the then chairman, Mr. Haynes had said, the commission was duty bound by law, I asked, on what basis has there been a change? If it was duty bound by law, I do not recall any issue being debated anywhere in the House or Senate or both of changing the law to accommodate this present thing. So I wonder, arrive at this conclusion? Do these two eminent senior counsels made their own judgments, the individual determination, or I know these institutions always have their own counsel, their own retainers, their own consult, or did they consult to arrive at both Mr. Haynes's conclusion and Mr. Ali's? Was there consultation with the Solicitor General's office, the Attorney General? So I'm just wondering, how do you have this divergent opinions on two men equally qualified in the same institution? It does not make sense to me. And I think it reflects something wrong within the commission. Now, this commission is comprises three persons: a chairman and two persons nominated by the Prime Minister, and a deputy chairman and another person by the leader of the officer. That has always been the format for that institution. And I am told it used to work fairly well because the tradition was the things were determined on consensus. If the divisions of opinion, divergent, they discuss and argue until they hammer out something that's agreeable to the group. And it was not necessarily 3 against 2. I am told that in recent times that has not obtained, and that the commission has not been meeting. We don't hear anything from it. We hear these statements from the chairman, but the chairman has never yet come and introduced himself to the public as the chairman of the Electoral Boundaries Commission. So the public builds a relationship of trust and understand that you begin to relate to the person and how they present themselves in their case, and you validate them as the people where this free, fair, and transparent. Free, fair, and transparent. We have not been having transparency at all from the Electoral Boundary Commission for long. So I'm saying, therefore, we have to ask questions, and I think this is the same commission that is going into this in James Norton by election, and we have to make sure that all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. We should not take anything for granted, and I think that we have to even start to review the role of the commission, its future, and we cannot just settle for the past, because the past political culture in which that commissioners operate no longer exists. The culture, the practice. I think we have a government that's more transactional. I think what you're seeing now with that $300, it represents a carefully choreographed political dance, right? Starting from the budget, starting from the resignation of Mr. Hinkson, coming on to the selection of Mr. Blackman, nomination day, and it's all carefully choreographed with the election day on the 21st of May. It cannot be, I do not believe in coincidences, never, ever, especially in politics, that on the 14th, a week before the election, that you're having this $300 bribe, attempted bribe to the public. I think why did it come in July, August, when people have to go back, how to leave it back to school, and may have that extra cash to get with their children? Why in the middle of a by-election? To me, it's becoming a barbarous, and it's something that we have to watch very carefully, and we should do what we can to protect. And we should demand that not only the Electoral Boundaries Commission, all the other institutions which are supported by the taxpayers and have to be financed by the taxpayer and are supposed to be accountable to the come and answer questions from the press and from people so we know what they think is it, not just issue statements and decrees and decisions and we have to live with it like Olympic as you've had to do in the past. I think we need more. We demand more in that regard.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to more of that coming out in the by-election. Not that there has not been any politics in the round of the commission, of course, because it's a political institution doing political role. So you'd find politics being played. From what I understand, there were standards and limits and methods by which things were done in the past that are not and protected the overall integrity of the institution to ensure that it was not consumed by narrow political partisanship that therefore defeated its own purpose and ate out its maw, its claw, its guts, and its heart and soul. And I think we need to go to make sure that because it's a very important institution. This one of the few institutions, this one we took for granted, we thought everything was fine. But now we have to begin to ask questions about this as we do about the Ministry of Education, about Parliament, any other institution by Barbados. We have to question this one too, as any other one. I don't think it's always operating in our interest because no an institution is only as good, not its constitutions, in terms of reference, its legal scope, its motto, its goal is by the people who run it, their values, their goals, and the culture in which it's operated. And therefore, that is what we have to keep our eyes on.
Dave has up here, the red Kool-Aid. And that's what they think that's what they think that they're doing with this $300. All the gimmicks that they are they're putting on the people at this time, as you said, right in the middle of the election, it's so you to drink the red Kool-Aid. And I love the fact that Barbadians are waking up, Mr. Murray. I see a lot of things being passed around and people recognize what it is. And they very well know, Mr. Murray, that this this distributing of this money, it is impossible for it to not run into the election period. If you're starting it on the 14th, it's not going to take a week for all of Barbados to get this money, Mr. Murray. So they know very much, even during election, that they will be distributing $300 to the people in St. James North. I want people to wake up and, Mr. Murray, as you're saying, and recognize what is happening. I think if we had a functioning, this is my view, and you can correct me. I think, if I'm wrong, I think that if we had a functioning electoral and boundaries commission that is supposed to be ensuring a free, fair, and transparent elections, they could have been seriously asking questions about this $300 at this time, because while we don't know for sure, it gives the impression that it's not fair and it's not free and it's not transparent. And because if you're going to the ruling party up until during election, because we do administration, Mr. Murray, we understand that there's no way it's going to be finished before the 21st, the distribution, right?
That's right. That's right.
I don't see it finishing before that.
It's a shameless act. I've never seen a government even come close to doing this to try to influence an election. But is it the Prime Minister so afraid of the possible verdict of in this by-election, in this referendum, that she has to go to this extent to make sure that her government can put money in people's hands to ensure to try to soften what they think when any negative follow? I would hate to think so, but to me it's shameless. It's carefully constructed and choreographed. It's like a dance. You're a dancer, Marcia. You know how you choreograph the moves, the steps, etc.
Yeah.
And this is political dance for the most obscene reasons being put to us. It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder what will happen on election day.
That's what I'm here. I'm
It
actually
makes me
seeing.
wonder.
I'm wondering if inside of St. James North they're going to have a whole, something set up for people to come to collect this $300. And I am
No,
appealing to
no,
the
no,
elect.
no. I was thinking about the money that changes hand on
That's what
election
I'm
day. Now,
saying, and it's going to
not
come.
this $300. I think the last election in 2018 or 22. I think the $300 is the going rate for a vote. Then I think that's the figure I heard for the people on the blocks and
How
on
much
the
did you
groups.
say? About how much
I
did you say? The
I think it
people
was
on the
three.
street is saying $300, and how much are they giving to each person? $300, Mr. Murray.
So some people might get 600 then.
You
300
did,
from 300
yeah.
through the check and another check on the day cash for the exchange of your ID card to show that you voted. That's how the
Yeah.
transaction takes place on election day. That's what I'm talking about.
You
And the
know,
price might
somebody,
therefore go up.
the other point that you made, Mr. Murray, while we wait on our other guests, Miss McLean is supposed to be coming in anytime now. Um, you said something, and I wondered if we stopped a very important point. And since you said it to me today, I've been thinking about it. Barbadians, stop and think about what I'm about to say. Just reiterating something Mr. Murray said. Mr. Murray said, if we had two astute lawyers, one was Mr. Leslie Haynes, who in 2020, is it 2020, Mr. Murray?
21, 22, yeah. 21, 22.
2021, 2022, said that by law, he has to publish the all of our data online. Okay, this is what it was said, that he's
That's
following
right.
the law.
He was adamant about that.
He was adamant. I remember the discussion. He was adamant. Barbadians, listen, we are children of Barrow. We are intelligent. Can we listen, please? Mr. Leslie Wayne,
I'm a child of Grantley Adams.
child of Bradley Adams. Okay, no problem.
And Grantley has expanded the secondary by the new secretaries Parks and
Okay,
Grantley. So,
well,
okay,
there's
good.
others who say they are children of Barrow. A lot of Barbadians. So
All right.
so either Barrow or Grantley Adams. The point is that we are educated Barbadians. Okay, and if one astute lawyer, Mr. Leslie Haynes, we give him that. He is now the justice. Is now the chief justice
of Barbados.
He's the Chief Justice of Barbados, and he said he was following the laws by putting out our data online as the chairman of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Now he's given up that post and he's been elevated as Chief Justice. Now, by this same government, now the government has assigned Mr. Ramon Allen, who is now an amazing lawyer. Okay? And he is saying to Barbadians, be assured, Barbados, this commission will not put your information online. We will not publish it online. When did the law change?
That's right.
That's what Mr. Murray is saying. And I want, especially those who came to the class late, I just want to reiterate that. When did the law change? What is the difference between Mr. Leslie Haynes' interpretation and Ramon Harris?
Ramon Allen. Yeah.
And then I'm going to add my question here. If it's the same law that they both were looking at, what was the reason? What could be the reason? What could have been the reason for the divulging, the displaying, the producing of our information, our private information online? All electorate, everything was put online. Why?
In addition to that, Marcia, I think that in light of the contradiction, the divergence between the two eminently qualified persons in the same position, on the so-called law or the non-law, I think a way should be found. We should have a way to make uh, Mr. Haynes come and give justification for a decision then. And if he's wrong, apologize to the country. Those kind of things should not be allowed to go unanswered and accounted for in the society. It's a dangerous precedent. And right, this is Mr. Ramon Ali. And it makes me wonder if that could happen, if that contradiction can happen and comes out in the public on an issue, what else there might that be that might have been contradictions or whatever, broken up the laws, whatever it is, making up the law, interpreting law that we do not know about because they're not yet they're not apparent in the public. It makes you wonder, how do you explain the divergence?
Yeah, well, somebody says if the law has not changed, could it just be a decision of proper judgment on Mr. Allen's part? But I think what that's a fair question, Judith, that he comes to the public and explain this is very serious because the law is a law, and is either one of them then is breaking the law.
Right. If one
Somebody is breaking the law.
If Mr. Haynes and his judgment was upholding the law as he said, Mr. Allen's come with the contrary, but then he would technically be breaking the law, and they would not expect a senior counsel like Mr. Allen, on a matter of his eminence in the law, to break the law, to knowingly and deliberately break the law. So explain the facts between the two to me. That's my contention.
It is something that we really need to think of. Did one party was at an advantage by this this information being put out on the web? Was it, or did they sell our data? What really happened? Is this something in the hands of the Chinese? I'm not Mr. Murray asking. I'm asking. Is this in the hands of the Chinese people that it's alleged that's running the people behind the scenes with the BLP campaign?
But Marcia, it haven't been put online. It's available to any and everybody. Chinese, the Americans, the Russian, anybody. It is there for fair game. That's why I've been so baffled as to what would get. For all my years, I know you'd go, if you want a copy, you go and pay for a copy, a hard copy, and you check in your constitutive branch or the party headquarters, or you go and look at it like it is being done, and all of a sudden, this law emerged. You had to publish it online. And I think in those days when that law was done, there was probably no online publication. There was probably no online. You have to look at the dates carefully. This online came in last 20 years or so. So one has to wonder, on what basis did you decide, and what was it? What was that? What was the consensus? What was the decision of the commission as a group? What role did the administration of the commission play? Because administrators are professionals of public servants who are the institutional memory, who are very familiar with the operations of the law, and they're supposed to help guide the board members who are political appointees. And in addition, they have access to legal advice and consultants and retain persons. So therefore, there's no excuse for this kind of contradiction as far as I'm concerned.
No, but it is a very, for me, I am taking it because if it is I believe these gentlemen are good lawyers, and why would one? It's such it's not even that they said, okay, as you said, came and gave an explanation. The other one is saying, well, I'm not going to do it. So did anybody, was anyone disadvantaged then? Was any party disadvantaged? Did this disadvantage the BLP? Did it disadvantage the BLP? Did anybody gain an advantage from it? Is it because from last time when it was put out, there were lots of people asking questions online. While everybody had access to it, was it for a particular group of people to do what they need to do with our data? It's just a question that is put out there.
But frankly speaking, I've always been more concerned about the public at large, where every person on the board, listen, Barbara, has become a potential victim. They are vulnerable to scammers and thieves and identity thieves and all those miscreants in the part of the world, all the dishonest people. They have been made vulnerable, exceedingly vulnerable through no fault of their own. They had no say in it. It was done. It was done to them, not even on their behalf, to them. And I'm saying, how come they're 1% is duty bound by law, and the other person is acting as if there was not same law? I do not. Yeah, one of the legal risk kids would have to explain that to me, because
Yeah.
as a man who only went to school in August on every Saturday, I don't
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
it. Um, Fixing of boundaries, realigning of boundaries is a controversial process and subject wherever it happens in the world. Hence the process of gerrymandering, where you manipulate the boundaries to carve out certain strong persons to the personal control, and limit, and you increase the strength of the weaknesses of your opponents and increase strength of yourself. That's the basic objective, gerrymandering. And some people are very, very good at it. But the reason, I remember, I think, Mark, the reason for changing of boundaries, there used to be a theoretical number of about 10 to
A formula.
11,000 persons, a
Yeah, something
formula
like
that would decide the size of a constituency. So you'd make adjustments supposedly to keep that formula in vogue. 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, whatever it was. So you make adjustment if over a period of time, one part of a constituency grows part per the year, you might have to harvest off to retain population balance. But that has been misused and misapplied and abused several times over. But like I said there, and Martin is making a point, the institution is only as good as the people who run it administratively, professionally, and the members of the board. If the members of the board or the political leadership of the commission seek to dominate, and if the strength of the administration cannot withstand that, or not prepared to withstand that, again, you have problems. So you need goodwill, good character, integrity on both sides to make the system function as it should be. Not that people would not try things, but the culture and the practice and the tradition of the institution that she might be able to withstand almost anything that's coming at it, and also have opportunity to go public to expose anything that's going to attempt to make wrong with it, to protect its own integrity.
Yeah, is spotting and saying, hold a minute, how do you the how are you allowing the same man to judge his say that way, that's depending on the outcome. And I think that is really what the CRC is
And I,
supposed.
and I agree with that. I agree with that in principle. But on the same hand, life being what it is, if you might have a different composition, same 5 members, 3 recommended the prime minister, two by the leader opposition, by the opposition side, and a person might not be unilaterally, might be able to so influence the personnel that should still have his wishes. So I'm saying you have to protect, you have to try to ensure as humanly possible the integrity of the process, the system, and the persons who man it. I'm getting up to it. It's unusual. That is not the norm. Has not been the
exactly.
tradition. These things will come out
Exactly.
routinely on time, step by step. So therefore, it means that it has to be a reflection of the administration of the Electoral Boards Commission, or the misadministration for whatever reason. In addition, are there reports here out on the 22 election?
What is happening, Mr. Murray? Your take on that?
Yeah, yeah. My understanding is that what should be the norm and the practice generally obtained in the past, so what I understand. But virtually since 2018, there's been this abnormality where the deputy chairman had not been allowed to chair meetings. And therefore, that has been frustrating and postponing the whole operation, the whole quality of work done by the Electoral Boards Commission, as reflected in some of the decision making. I don't know if that's been your experience, okay, as well. Job being done. I think you
There
must
were,
have a basis of competent and honest people who can do the job.
that don't really happen. You put people who support your party, and then the government puts 3 people in place. There are 2 from the opposition, there are 5 people on the thing. the opposition will always be voted, even if it is a good thing.
But I am told in the past that there have been one of the things that when Marcia, you talk about the length of time person being appointed to the commission is 5 years. They used to overlap elections.
Yes.
So that is a continue that was deliberately done so that the boards and the commission are not changed with every administration. So you carry on a tradition, a practice outside of the narrow limits of power by election results. So that is what I want to bet. And to me, for what I'm told, that obtained religiously for a long time. There was respect for the system, the tradition, the convention until 2018. That's the point. Until things went awry or have been going awry. Understand my exposure to the system, even though the numbers are 3-2, over time, because of the overlapping of commissions and the retention of persons, they develop a cordiality and understanding and respect for you, whereby even your parties and differences only went so far and did not color and frustrate the whole thing corrupt. I think that is what is missing, right? I think that's what has gone awry since 2018, where that kind of cooperation, respect, mutual cooperation, and understanding that while I'm being ready, there's a commission, there's an election, that we have to curtail our partisanship for the good of the country and the commission. I think that has gone through the edges, so to speak.
And I would have hoped that somebody would have been acting. So the question really and truly, why have you got to bring back this person who retired, if my information is correct, a month and 3 days ago?
But Maxine,
now,
wait a minute, okay. That apart, there's a new, I saw on the website, a new name as Chief Electoral Officer. There is a not acting Chief Electoral Officer. So what might be happening there now is what happened with the police. Remember, you brought in a former commissioner as a consultant.
So you had a commissioner and a commissioner.
Right. So I'm saying, but I did see, I did not retain the name, I did not remember the, but I did see a name of a person as signed as Chief Electoral Officer. There was no acting and backus under the name. So I presume somebody has been actually appointed to that post. And what Castle is saying is true. The strength of an institution or bureaucracy, it has persons to make. No institution will die because somebody is not there at work. It is a system meant to perpetuate itself, predictability, regularity, certainty, etc. And there are always people there with the ability. It's just that for various reasons, persons do not want to appoint those persons. But by it in itself, the persons are normally there. But this new feature of bringing back consultants, consultants like that, is a strong innovation by this present government because, again, it has its own aims to satisfy. I don't understand this. What's the man who's in Trump's administration? Is Bezos? What's his name? Who's going through government and cutting up offices? And we are having that before it got to Trump. Because when I was a little boy, grew up in Spoonersville, you used to have a prison doctor. The place was the Lawrence T. McGee Memorial School. Dr. Clark lived there for many years and went to the prison every day. He was the prison doctor. So that is an old establishment when we were a colony. You mean those sensible things don't make sense anymore? And Castle tells me about no telephone.
This is 1964 Act. I almost said almost as old as me.
but Castle talk about no telephones, no walkie-talkies. How could that happen? How could that? Because certainly if I were working...
And sometimes no food.
If I were working at a bakery, Castle, and my wife were in charge of a restaurant to send me my food, and they said I'd be very upset. But I'm trying to understand how therefore it could not be any. I'll have to find out why you can't send food to my place that I'm in charge of. You get me? With telephones and walkie-talkies, those are basics. And not there. You have to intervene. How is this man still in a job? What? He must really be one of the prime minister's favorites and true.
No, he's from St. Thomas, or he might not be prime minister's favorite. You know who favorite he was.
Wow.
Mind you, I had him at a disciplinary hearing asking him some questions, and I asked him if you know that particular person. He said no. I said, well, that person got you appointed chief officer, and you don't know? You don't know them?
This
Yeah.
is
It's sad.
it's very sad that somebody said trips to Dubai, but no communication at the prison.
There
We
you are.
gathering, but you know, Miss McCain, the prisoner got no doctor. We are partying and we're fetting and we are all of these things. We just had on Labor Day a big, you know, giveaway of food and all of that. $300 to everybody. But right now we are locking our gates and everything because there is a murderer. Your court said he was a murderer. So we can say that there is a murderer, Miss McLean, on the loose. Quite interesting.
And the minister has not come and spoken to the public about it to reassure the public that system is just going on like with the walkie-talkies and no phones.
But you know, but this has more repercussions. You know, there's so much crime out there. The police are overworked, and you get them some more work now. When all of this could have been avoided, these police out there searching for him now should be in their bed next to the wife drawing up, or husband, because they got police women too. You have a situation that could have been avoided if you only read the rules of the prison and applied them.
But Caswell, I do understand. I like I said before, I used to be in charge of the day operations of the civil service.
I well
Appointments
remember
from
that.
all appointments from all angles, and there was a process, there was a system who people paid attention, make sure it happened, you check, etc. Now, by the Prime Minister and Minister of the Civil Service.
Give your final comment, please, before we close out tonight.
I'm glad you at least last you realized that.
But
No.
before you do, I made up an error. We've been putting this up all night. Not all night, but towards the last quarter of the show, the last half hour. And I want to announce that Alex Mitchell sent me a message today from the Bajan Free Party that he will be contesting the St. James North by election. So tomorrow he'll be paying his $250. All right. And I asked him to send me some pictures, etc., because I am booked up for tomorrow morning, but I will show you something in the evening. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Murray.
And he has touched the subject I want already. I'm hoping that at least during the week we'll get more discussion on the St. James North by election per se, the electioneering, what issues are emerging, to get the feel for the system. That begins the focus for the next what's tomorrow's date? The next 17 or 18 days.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I look forward to a spirited, informative discussion and trying to bring meaningfulness to the whole issue of getting a proper replacement for St. James North.